Welcome to the world headquarters of Euclid Ebenezer Training, broadcasting from somewhere partially underground on this continent. I have a series entitled Church Growth. This is part 3, and I entitled part 3, Dressing for Church. Let's read 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Abstain from all appearance of evil, and the very God of peace sanctify you wholly. And I pray God, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. I went to a community Christian event here in the city of the world headquarters of Euclid Ebenezer Training, and it was a blast. And I was part of the prayer team, and I just prayed for a couple days, but I met somebody that I'd wanted to meet, and one thing over the years or another we never did, and he was there, and he really didn't know me, but I kind of know him a little bit more about him. So he was retired, he wasn't pastoring anymore, but he was going to be a part of this event. And I went to church with him. It was a blast at this event. Just had absolute fun. All the churches getting together, and the music and the preaching. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it again. So I go visit this church. It's a small church here. And I walk into the church, and most churches today are casual. If you wear a suit to church, most people just kind of look at you, like, what's he up to? Or just, it's just really hard. And I try to dress up sometimes for these videos, not all the time, but once in a while, put on some nice studs and comb my hair once in a while. and stuff, and so I just like to look nice. And so anyway, so I'm visiting this church, and I understand the church culture we live in today. And so I walk into this church, and there's nobody there with a suit. Everybody a few people look like maybe they could be a suit without a coat and tie, but most people more casual than that. Still don't got a problem. So he takes me over to somebody. Now, if I had saw this guy and not been walked up to by this individual, and he said, "Hi, this is Pastor so-and-so of this church," I would have looked at how he was dressed and thought, Bill Belichick looks like Saks Fifth Avenue compared to this guy. And I'm looking at it like, no, dude, you're not really the pastor at a service dressed like that. And his shoes. I mean, I dress better mowing on my lawn than he did. And I felt a spirit of disrespect. And again, I'm fully aware, and I also know that some of the legalistic churches in America, everybody's expected to have a suit. But when I saw this guy, I thought, we've gone too far, and somebody has to say something. This is just a bridge too far, playing the casual card. Many years ago, a former president I didn't vote for, but I respect the office of a president, had a contemporary Christian, or just a Christian music event. And it was nice of him to do that as president. And Stephen Curtis Chapman came, was dressed in a suit, really cool with that. And even if I didn't vote for the man and didn't agree with his politics and policies, it was still cool with the situation. Then a certain singer got out, and I'm thinking, you really wore that to the President of the United States? Really? I would never do that. And, you know, it was just a bad look. Now, I got saved at a church, and at this church, it was old school Pentecostal church, and they were into wearing suits, and the preacher wore a suit every Sunday. But because the church was mingling and mixing with Calvary Chapel, and we had bands come to our coffee house from Calvary Chapel, and you know, Calvary Chapel could come in the service, and if you look at some of the people who were a part, looked like they would be a part of the Jesus movement, were coming there to this church, and they enjoyed it. And it was fine, it was good, and it was more formal on Sunday morning, but and Sunday evening and Wednesday night was more casual. But I, just a kid and bicycle, you couldn't wear a suit and ride a bicycle to church. But and some of the first thing I did was one of the guys there, Keith Nicely, he helped me, you know, pick out a coat and a tie and some pants and shoes, and just begin with the idea, okay, once in a while, dress up for church. And that was the feeling. And sometimes we would go to outreaches afterwards and we wouldn't dress up. But so it was a mix. I liked that mix. You could dress like the Jesus people and come and be fine. There was one of the leaders in the church. He looked like he was in the Jesus people movement. Nobody had a problem. He was in leadership, and you know, it was just a non-event. We've almost gone the other way nowadays to sort of, not sort of, but just to almost ridicule by how we dress. Why can't we do both? The church I attend in the city of the world headquarters of Euclid Ebenezer Training, I wish there was a little bit more energy, but I love some of the things they do. And the pastor there, you know, he might wear a suit once in a while, couple different pastors. Sometimes it'll be a shirt and a tie. It's kind of mixed up. I have no problem, even if he just gets up, but he's dressed nice and dressed nice pants and a nice shirt, and you know, he's not going to wear a tie. I've never, for any of the pastors there, and I've gone and I've left and I come back, I've never once been any issue with how a pastor was dressed. Every church, family, culture, sports team has a culture. And so that's really what I'm talking about portraying. There was in another city, another state, this huge mega church. They did a lot of outreach in homeless community and other sections of town. And one event they had was a ladies' makeup day. So people would donate really nice clothes and dresses, and they'd get all the things that ladies do when they do a makeup thing. And it was really cool. It's kind of an all-day event. They'd have lunch, and they would do these different things and have the nails done. And I just thought that was super cool. On another channel, you have to go a certain way to get to it. Orthomeho, O-R-T-H-O-T-O-M-E-H-O, and then put in that, and then the mass preacher. And there's a number of mass preachers, so you kind of got to do it a little different way. So I have a sermon called Common Sense. In this great chapter of chapter 5, we have in the beginning of it talking about the rapture, of the church, or some people say it's not, but some people do. And then towards the end, about verse 23, about who we are as human beings. I also have, with this sermon on 1 Thessalonians 5 is called Common Sense. And sandwiched in between is a whole bunch of common sense things. At the end of it, in chapter 5, verse 23, is who we are as people. And on this channel I have two videos. One is We Are Humans. And then on another one, I Am Human, part 2, I have a chart where, you know, spirit, soul, and body written out. But this phrase here, but test, this commentary on verse 21, prove, test, prove, test, try, and approve until you can recognize what is good, and then hold on to it. So the word appearance in verse 22, Strong's word 1491, eidos, a fashion, a shape, a sight. Commentary in this: keep yourselves from every evil man. My commentary is, don't be a goofball. You expect people to listen to you as leader. You want their time. You want their money. And maybe if your car broke down on the way to church and you had to crawl under it, and you were working on, you came to church and you were just a mess, you know. But I felt the spirit of disrespect. You, talking about pastors, you disrespect them by dressing bad and leaving the church. You dress like you're going to mow the lawn or something. That is just a bad look. And I'm not saying you have to, you know, wear a tie every time. But this was a little bit of a special service that I was describing to you, and to be so disrespectful, man, it just makes me feel really sad. And this whole movement of being too casual, that maybe we need to go a little bit further. Now, I think the church where I got saved, in another city, another state, they had problems, but they had a pretty good blend. And if that church had gone more casual and less people wearing suits, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if that pastor I was saved under, and he got up making Bill Belichick look like an advertisement for one of those fashion magazines, I would have been real upset. So I'm going to conclude telling you stories about great people. Recently, August 9th, 2022, on a national sports talk show, Jim Rome, and there was a gentleman who was a guest host. He was telling a story about a player from the Arizona Cardinals named Larry Fitzgerald. So they're at the Pitt University. I guess they were rooming together, and it was understood he made it understood to him that this guy coming in, he's taking your job because he's great. So before the game, they had to wear a suit, and afterwards they didn't have to. And so afterwards, Larry Fitzgerald was wearing a suit. And this guy who's hosting the show, he's just wearing sweats. And he says, dude, you don't have to wear a suit after the game. He says, I want to, because I want to show who I am. Civil Rights March. And I only learned this maybe 4 or 5 months ago in some research I was doing. And Martin Luther King Jr. and some of the civil rights marches, they were in suits and dresses and looking in video from footage from them. It's right. They looked like they were going to church. And I never knew that until recently. I was impressed. There are two gentlemen on a YouTube show called Speak. One is Emmanuel Ocho, who wrote a great book called Illogical, and you can look that up on your own time, and Marcellus Wiley, both former NFL players. And I always love watching them on the show. They're just two guys, two dudes talking, and they're dressed so sharp. And I just think it's so cool. And so what are all three of these? There's a lot of connections all three of these stories have. But one of the things that I'm going to focus on is these three stories that I told you as people who want to make a difference. They want to change people. And they're working hard to portray an image, and I don't have a problem with what they're trying to communicate. And I'm very impressed with that. So, concluding this teaching, if I never wear a suit again to church, that doesn't bother me. I am relegated to accept the going the way of the too casual. But as John Metzler used to say, that if the devil can't stop you, he'll push you too far. And sometimes people have these ideas, and it may be good, and there may be justification. They go too far. And if you're a pastor, you know, a lot of it, there's some countries where you just poor, but there should be something communicated about going to church, you know, the house of God, and we spend billions of dollars, this Christian industry, for church buildings, and there should be some respect. And if a church goes up and has, you know, someone in a collar and that, I don't have a problem with that either. At least they're trying to look nice. But I have a problem when you disrespect your church. And some churches, I don't know. I've visited looking at different churches here in the city of the world headquarters of Euclid Ebenezer Training. They're all casual. And I don't have a problem with it. I wish once in a while they'd throw in a suit. Certain cultures have grown. There's a mega church here, great church, and they're super casual. So, but I just wish pastors would try better and really pray and say, okay, Lord, I'm trying to convey myself. When I go to work, there's a certain culture there, and I'm casual, but I'm nice casual. I'm trying to wear, you know, a nice shirt, and you know, that's like something that's, I've been working on my car as a mechanic for 5 months and wearing that. But it's just something to think about for church growth and leadership and even attending church. And maybe if somebody once in a while on Sunday would wear a suit, and maybe a few people say, hey, let's dress up, or have events, or have a dinner where both people dress up. So, I don't know. Lord, I just pray for people watching this. You would deal with people. And I wore some not real nice stuff, but I worked towards having a suit and would get a ride when I I needed to wear a suit. It was both. It was not either or. And Lord, in our society today, I pray that your Spirit would deal with pastors. Hey, let's mix it up. Let's do both. And to people attending church, let's do both. And let's not be so casual. Sometimes be more formal. And do both to the best of our ability. And if we don't have nothing, praise God. Just like the church where I got saved and the Jesus people were there, good. But let's try. Let's try to figure this out and the level where we're at. Signing off from somewhere partially on the ground, Euclid, Ebenezer Trainer, bid you good night.